you are enough. You are a divine being created by God. God is in you. Everybody's heard that from the Bible, but that's absolutely true. And I think people have been beaten down a lot.
Hi, I'm Paul speaking for Free Range with Gail of Gaia. Welcome to the program. Today's guest, Cheryl Whitestone. Gail and Cheryl talk about an eclectic mix of topics, so sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. And I have a very interesting guest today. Her name is Cheryl Whitestone. She is a professional artist, a writer, a producer, a former health store owner or cafe, and she's had some rather profound spiritual experiences, which she will share with us today. So, Cheryl, tell us a little more about yourself, more specifically, and then we can take it from there. We'll talk about the Hopi prophecy, maybe the Golden Age, and wherever our conversation leads us. Okay?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. All right. Well, yeah, I'm an oddball from the get-go. I died when I was 10. I got hit by a river rock that took me out of my body. So that's where, I was destined to have all these interesting experiences. But then I'm a real pragmatic Virgo. So,
oh my God, that's interesting because I'm Virgo too. I have noticed that people that have had these near-death or death experiences always have profound experiences following that. So carry on, please.
Okay, well, just to show you that I'm not totally whack, here is, let's see, I'm trying to share screen. Okay, can you tell I don't know what the heck? Okay, let me see.
You should be able to share.
Yeah,
I have it open.
I'm looking. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Here it is.
Oh, well, that's beautiful. Yeah, so the Golden Age. But I want to share this website that I'm using. Can you see that?
Yes, now I see it.
Okay,
yes.
So there's and this is my latest, but there is my website. I had a little, I came up with a community magazine for a while, and that was in 2007, and it kind of touched on everything: healthy food, had all of that, community forum, natural world, nominated angel in the neighborhood. And I did that for a while. I'm just a basic entrepreneur. I'm like, what do people need? And then of course, here's my artwork. There's all kinds of things.
Oh, I love your artwork. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I did an interview series called The Elders, Wit, Wisdom, and Whimsy. It was for PBS, and we managed to, and then Sting sang about Quentin Crisp, who was a very interesting guy, well known in the literary circles and for his books and his movies. And that series was called The Elders, Wit, Wisdom, and Whimsy, Conversation from the Heart. And then I did some kids costuming, which was such a blast to see my artwork actually moving. And these were all folk tales. It was a pilot. And then if you scale down, you see I was in the Portrait Society of Atlanta. And I just have sort of a mix. This is not everything I do, but it's just.
Oh, I love the white horse. I love horses anyway. Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my grandpa.
And the nest egg, the eggs in the nest there too is beautiful. As a matter of fact, boy, I'm going to have to enlist you on the free range team here.
There you go. I'm always up for it. Well, my grandpa bought me a white horse when I was like 11, I believe. And I lived on that mare's back. And I call her my good mother because she taught me about the natural world. I mean, I went out as a preteen and a teen, and I lived on her like a wild Indian. I mean, we'd go down into these canyons and I'd find wild celery growing and I'd eat it you know, in all kinds of things. I mean, so
Wow.
I was fortunate to have that. I think that's so good for kids, and I could run all,
I do. I wanted a horse so bad when I was a child, but my
yeah,
family said no.
yeah, they're expensive, but even
Mhm.
to take them out to a place, and then there's a lot of abstracts I was selling. And people can just look over the website and just see a little sample. That's me as a child, from
Mother Nature's child. That's cute. I love that.
yeah. So and my grandma taught me to take these flowers and make yourself a crown, which I did. So I painted that of myself. Of course, I wouldn't part with it. And this lady started me an apprenticeship, and she was very well known. She did all the jazz grades. This is in California. I grew up in California. So she did my portrait and was teaching me to do portraits. And my mother had a lot of friends, and they were all, I'd go over there and they'd all get me to work. So, people can go look. It's a small sample, but there's a variety of things there. Then my chickens, I just had a blast having my little hobby farm and chickens and things like that. So there's that. And then,
That's awesome, Cheryl. Absolutely awesome.
yeah, so I made a pretty good living. I managed to buy a couple houses. I mean, not two at a time, but yeah, enough to make it. And but anyway, one thing I'd like to tell people is, when I first heard this and found out that you are enough, you are a divine being created by God. God is in you. Everybody's heard that from the Bible, but that's absolutely true. And I think people have been beaten down a lot.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for you to share that very thought.
Yeah. And you don't need a guru. I mean, I like the Bible, but I study the different religions as well. And there are a lot of texts that were edited out of the Bible about spirituality.
Exactly. And I think it misleads people, and they went heavy on you're a wretched sinner, which is part of the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And that is not true. Maybe there's another race. I mean, people talk about it. And we know what probably everybody knows what we're talking about when we say that. But we are good. We are good. And we have so much that we have not discovered. And
I'm sorry.
I've been able to unlock some of these. We don't have just five senses. I've been able to unlock some of the superpowers, or their I would call them supernatural powers, but they're natural, but we were just told we didn't have these types of things. And while I'm on that subject, a lot of the things they've come out with, like cell phones and different things like this, these gadgets and whatever, are just back engineered from what we actually have in us. We can time travel. We can meet other people in what the natives call a place of no space and time. And here's a little video I just wanted to point out to people. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see it just fine.
So if somebody wants to go there and watch this is the Lost Gospel of Thomas, the unknown teachings of Yeshua. And he, explains how Jesus said, know thyself, learn what you are, and all of that. So that's a great one. A lot of his videos are really good to see.
He always told people to go within, and that was kind of steered away from in most of the church teachings. Like you can be very very spiritual without being churchy, so to speak.
Exactly. And the thing is, what I found happened to me is I have experiential, like an experience, or Jeffrey Prather talks about this, a kinetic experience. In other words, I live through this thing, and then I can find the Bible verse that it relates to. And things come to me to show me that this is completely valid. So one of my things is to let people know, look, you have these, just explore yourself and take the time to, to look at that, to understand that, to ask, what did that mean? What was that experience? Things like that. And as you'll get to know it better. But this is unfolded for me, not overnight and not with drugs or things like that. It's unfolded over 30, 40 years. I had such odd things happen. I didn't know what they meant. Now I'm starting to understand what they meant. So, just remember, you are right now sitting in your own patch of diamonds. It's you.
Do you think that it's possible that we're at a point in the energies on the planet, we're at a point where these gifts that we actually have that have been suppressed and oppressed in us are able to start to come forward if we start looking at them, if we start believing that we have this ability? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely about believing and knowing you've got these abilities. And that was one of the things. This is another a man right here that came into my life, and I had cried out, and I said, if there's a sane person on this planet, I demand you show yourself now. Well, I went into a vision, and I think I have the picture somewhere. I have to move this down, where I actually went to this place of no space and time, and met him. We were animals, and what that was.
Were you in a meditative state, or?
I was kind of in an emotional upheaval, and I was crying. I had a phone bill the size of a paperback book, and I didn't make those calls, but people had been taking advantage of me. I was a young mother supporting a young child, and I'm like, these are not adults. These are not adults. Whoever these people are, why would they take advantage of a mother with a child? And so I called him, and I had that experience where I went and met him, and we were coyotes, and we howled back and forth, and it translated to English. And I knew I was me, a woman, and he was a man. I didn't know who he was. And we commiserated, we howled, but it was like English thought bubbles coming up. Mm-hmm. And then about a month later, who comes in, trotting in, and this was in Atlanta where I had my cafe, my health cafe. In comes Rolling Thunder with a whole entourage, and we knew he was from the Southwest. I mean, they had all their jewelry on, their turquoise and all that stuff. And he planned to speak in Atlanta that day. So he heard me, and then I recognized him. He was the one. And he spoke all day long. And this is one of the sanest men on the planet. He's an intertribal medicine man. He was, this is a fantastic book about him.
Is he with the Hopi tribe, or who?
He's the intertribal medicine man, and I'm trying to look for the link. And Cherokee medicine man. I thought I had more links here, but he was known for his magical. He could
his abilities.
Yeah, he could literally at one point they were going to court. They were in San Francisco, and he was friends with a lot of people, actors. He was actually in that movie Billy Jack, and he was with actually somebody in the Grateful Dead, and they were going to court, and he didn't have his pipe. Doug Boyd talked about it, and he always had his pipe, and the pipe is what they is a mixture of tobacco and other herbs they use. And the pipe, whenever they did this pipe ceremony, it wasn't a peace pipe per se. It was a pipe because all their histories are oral. So it helps them retrieve the information that is out there. And so that's what a pipe is. And in medicine, people know that, and a lot of other people don't know that. But so there he is too. People can look him up and watch. This is a very old video, but he's passed on. But he was amazing. And yeah, another testament. And his thing was take your power back. You're incredibly powerful beings, and you people have not gone there.
You know what's so important about what you're saying right now, Cheryl, is that one of the things that's happening on the planet is they're trying to push an agenda which is actually transhumanism and using robotic type implants and that sort of thing, when in fact humanity has had those powers in the past. Exactly. And they have been suppressed, and they have been and all we have to do is to wake up to that. We might need a little bit of help with a med bed. I'm not sure about that, because I know that they messed with our DNA as well. But the very idea that it's there, because a lot of times something that's there can be remanifested with enough focus and intention and so on. So
right. And how is it, and a lot of people are doing that now, I think. And how is it that, I've done what I can do? I mean, I went and met a woman, and I got in a tiger body. And why? Because the frequencies matched, and that animal knew I had a mission to accomplish, and all of that. And I have a series I'm working on to tell about all these adventures.
Oh my God, I've seen tigers in several meditative visions that I've had.
They're
protectors or
they're protectors. And particularly this was about me protecting my child who was young, and the woman I met had a young child about the same age. And then also when I talk about Green Terra and Milarepa in the Buddhist tradition was a tiger, right? And he was an ascended master. So yeah, all these animals have different energies. And
because I've seen a white tiger a couple times, and a regular tiger another time. And so I'm going, what this means something. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but I know it means something. And I asked some other people that are aware, that I consider maybe more aware than I am, and they were saying protection, guard, a guard or that kind of thing. So anyway, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So tell us more.
Well, so here, just, to demonstrate like a superpower or something like this. So I had been listening to Buddhist texts, and I was listening on tapes. That's how long ago it was. But I was listening to those as I want to go out to my art jobs or whatever, and just studying. And I wondered about female Buddhas. I was wondering, do they have them? And then I went over to Spain. I got this little charm that was a brass Buddha, but she had boobs, right? And I went, wow. And I'm like, who's that? And she goes, Green Terra. So I purchased it at the Madrid flea market. I got back to Atlanta. I went into the little crystal shop for some reason, and they had this postcard of Green Terra. And then they had just gotten in a shipment of Tibetan recorder crystals. And so I picked it up, anyway, I laid all this next to on the dresser. I didn't do anything special, whatever. And all of a sudden she came up as a tiger. That was her first face. And then she danced in my room, and she was like 10 feet tall. Of course, my ceilings weren't, but this is like dreaming mystic vision. And she danced out all the 7 deadly sins. And that's what she represents. So this is a little post I have on Facebook, and she cleans house on for that, and what people need that. And I mean, everybody knows, even the Bible talks about the 7 deadly sins. So, this whole paying attention to your dreams and being open that you could get direct messages, that's for everybody. You can take, you can listen to other people, and kind of take their cue, as to how they do things. But, remember, it's all inside of you. And that's exactly right. These transgenicists are trying to say, oh, well, if you take this, you'll have that, you'll have this superpower, all that's crazy. We have it already. We already have that. We have that power. And
it's wonderful to hear you say that, because people need to have that drilled into their head, actually, because they're being spoofed technically by all this other, oh, you'll be able to do this, you'll be able to do that. Wait a minute. You already have all of that already within you that is God-given, and you just have had it so suppressed by the propaganda and the different things that they have indoctrinated into us, that we forgot that we have this.
That's exactly right. And that's kind of what Ascension is as well. But it's natural. You see, it's not like it's a scary thing or, whatever. I mean, they definitely have beat everybody down. And so stay away from their transhumanist stuff and let what you are unfold, and pay attention and love that about yourself.
Yeah, you don't want to be a cyborg.
No, you don't, because they're going to own you. And, they can't. The other thing is, they're just believe it. Everything is pretty much lies. I mean, the other thing is, here's something, and we could watch a little bit of it, but I would say everybody should go to this and watch this 16-minute or 14-minute.
Do you have a little section of it that you wanted to see, or?
Well, we can.
I think it'll play.
Yeah. So this is what stars are, and planets, and this was captured by regular people. Now this is the frequency of water, and now see this? The water's above, and they're serious. It's a frequency. It's not a physical place you can land. NASA,
which happens to mean deception.
exactly, was founded by Satanists. There are no balls to land on. Forget it. These are frequencies. And this goes all the way back to the ancients talked about this. And
I've seen that. I've seen that, what you're showing right now. I've seen that in the sky. Or whatever it is we see. But it's interesting that you brought that up, Cheryl, because tomorrow I'll be having a show with a man called Flat Earth Dave, and I think he talks about some of the same things.
There you go. Because you gotta know where you are. And so all these frequencies, they do have, they have these stars and planets have. Everything is so beautifully eloquently created.
Well, I've been reluctant to do shows on the flat Earth and the philosophy and information behind that, because there are so many people out there that'll, think you're a whack job. But
well,
timing is everything. Yeah, timing is everything, and now is the time. We need to get the truth needs to come out.
Yeah, I mean, pilots will tell you that I have the booklet on the aeronautical guide, and then I have the booklet. It says you are flying on a flat stationary plane. And if you weren't, why couldn't you just go up in a helicopter and let the earth spin And, you know,
Well, if it was spinning anywhere as near as as fast as they tell us that it's spinning, which is a bit of a joke, we would all be flying off of it, I would think.
it's just people haven't opened their minds and explored it. Either they just have not looked at it, or they're so
Yes.
brainwashed they won't be open to it. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
so there's that, and that's a good one to just watch from the beginning because it's so beautiful. It's one of my favorite.
I'm going to, yes, I would like to see that. I might ask you to send me that link.
I
We'll
will.
put it in the description. Any of these ones that you want people to be able to go back to and see themselves, send the link to me and I'll put it in the description. That way people can watch it themselves.
Oh, that sounds good. So you want to talk about this Hopi prophecy?
Yes, thank you. You just read my mind.
Okay. So in like 1976, I was sitting outside. I was straight. I was just sitting outside. I think I was having a beer with a friend and we were sitting on the car outside the night sky. And all of a sudden, some kind of craft, there was a craft, and it like lasered me down the middle. It didn't hurt. I could just feel it. And then what happened next was I had something like, if you took a pencil, it was like it lasered a positive sign and a negative sign up on my forehead. And then in the center, I could see a fire, but I'm like, it's not hot. And in my inner eye, I'm like, what is this? And it was like a fire. It was a magnetic fire. So that was so weird. I wouldn't talk about it for years. I mean, you know.
Were any of your friends able to see what happened at the time that you were there?
My friend that was sitting next to me, a guy named Bill, I mean, he's like, he didn't notice anything. He just kept jabbering. And meanwhile, I'm having this experience. I'm like, whoa. And then what happened is I realized that we're all electromagnetic beings. This is in 1976. We have a positive frequency and a negative frequency, and then there's that third eye where that fire was, that magnetic electromagnetic fire. We have auras. So here, Roberta Blackgoat, I met her when she came to Atlanta, and I met her first in astral and got her name prior to her coming. And then she was there talking about the problems in Four Corners. And she's a Hopi elder who is an activist, but the Hopi record keeper. So they're the record keepers of the prophecies. So she had shared this prophecy, and I found it when I was working on my book. And here she says, Hopi clan rocks were given out to all four races a long time ago. They are stored by a race in the following location: white, Switzerland; black, Kilimanjaro Mountains in African; yellow, Tibet; red, Hopi land. A white man will come and restore the fire clay tablet. The Hopi rock has a positive sign and a negative sign, minus sign on it, with a circle in the center. They represent positive, negative, and neutral forces in the magnetic field. Where they cross is a vortex into the next dimension. The greatest thing we have for healing is the human spirit. So everybody take that home and take it into your heart. So that's pretty astounding that I was gifted with that.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I just have a few posts on here, but I just thought, I'm coming out because people need to hear this. And, the fact that it coincides with where we're going now with the golden age, and where everybody knows now we're electromagnetic beings, and they're all talking about their auras and everything else, and, healing their auras. And I've got a few videos on there. And then a kind native came along and talked about that. I mean, people could go look at it.
Well, when you had your experiences with the Native American culture and explained that your experience to them, what were some of the things that they shared with you as a result of that?
Well, they, well, I mean, you have what you have, or what I have with them are kinetic experiences. So
Okay.
I have, so I have the dream, I meet them, right? And as far as I'm concerned, if I'm meeting them in astral and they recognize me, they're like, didn't I go horseback riding with you? And I'm like, yeah, last night in our dream. And then I got her name, and I'm like, Roberta Blackgoat, that's the weirdest name. And then she was at the Martin Luther King Center. I went there and she was there looking to get help for the Four Corners area. And everybody had sold her out. And so I hung out with them all day. I helped them. I had my little cafe at the time. And, so there's that. And all the natives will tell you, I mean, no matter who they are. Sun Bear was also a friend, and he came to, I thought I pulled up his page. Well,
I like that picture there. Did you paint that?
No, and I haven't gotten to painting my own. That's just an old picture. But what happened not long after that was I went up on this hill in Conejo Valley, and my husband had abandoned me. And I knew it was the best thing because we weren't, it just wasn't working out. But I was distraught, and, I didn't want to live and stuff like that. But I had my son, and all of a sudden, every star that was up there connected to my head, and I could feel them with like strings. And I felt like a puppet or something. And it was so odd. And I'm like, what? And I hear this voice, like this angelic voice. And she says, this angelic woman says, you have to stay here. There will be people that are, these stars are connected to people, and there are people that need to hear from you. So, I could read it. Every star is connected to my head. I felt each one. If I was a marionette of Almighty God, ethereal cords of energy attached to each star in my head. I stood on the hill alone in my town, and then felt the feeling, and the angelic female voice said, you cannot leave. You have these people's stars to connect to. Later, I pondered people are stars and what and who to connect to. So that happened, I think, in 72 or something. So, I guess I'm just
fascinating.
I'm a mystic. I mean, and what's funny with everything that's happening with Trump, and how we're all connecting now. I think this is the time. This is the time when we're all kind of connecting, star seeds, all these people, and there's there's a reason. There's a reason for all of this, that we're the good people, and that's what's happening.
I'm honored that you contacted me.
Yeah,
this is a fascinating story, and
well, and if there's any, I'd like to go to Hopi land and see if I can find some older, Hopi elders, but that's a
well, I'm not far from it, so you're welcome here anytime.
Maybe we could work that out.
Free Range with Gail of Gaia and Free Range Productions is proud to partner with C60evo.com, makers of ESS 60 products. C60, the carbon-60 molecule, delivers more than 172 times the power of vitamin C as an antioxidant. ESS 60 is simply the purest form of C60, a known antiviral, antibacterial, and anti-inflammatory remedy that not only works, it is the only C60 molecule that is approved for both internal and external use. ESS 60 neutralizes free radicals from cell metabolization and external toxins to help minimize inflammation and maximize detoxification. People report better sleep, more energy and flexibility, and renewed mental clarity when they take ESS 60 products. For more information, visit ess60.gailofgaia.com. That is ess60.gailofgaia.com.
There she is again, but she was pretty, I didn't know she was such a famous
is she still alive?
No, she passed.
Okay.
this is what she did for a living. And she knitted. She had her own special sheep that they grow there, and they make this like fuzzy wool, and she'd make blankets. And I got to tell you the story though. This is so funny. She said at one point, she said, "What I'd like as a punishment for these nasty, greedy men that are coming in, these corporations that are coming in and want to dig up the uranium out of the Four Corners area, I hope all their money that they get, all their money put in a sack in nickels, dimes, and pennies, and they have to carry that sack on their back." And that's so funny because it would kill them, but that's native, logic. I mean, I just love them. Just like Sunbury used to say, "I don't care about your philosophy unless it grows corn, unless it's productive," because they're just kind of, they may be mystical, but they're pretty basic people.
Yes.
They live close to the land. They got a lot of common sense, and they don't. I don't know if I have a pic. I had thought I had.
Who was out there protecting our water?
Yeah, the natives.
Standard, exactly. And look at some of the things that were done to them as a result. And I still, to this day, those weren't normal, ordinary police force, from what I understand. Those were hired.
Exactly. And she even said that
mercenaries.
Yeah, they're hired mercenaries, and that's the problem with a lot of this going on. And I won't mention that other word that starts with A. But
yeah, well, big pharma, big oil, they all have.
Yeah, well, we don't want to get
we don't want to get into that, but that's yeah.
I think pretty much people woke up to that, and so Bear also came in during that time in '86, and he came and hung out with us over in Standing Rock, Alabama, and we did, he did a medicine wheel with us, and it was fun to hang out with him. And I actually got into an ego body that night. I mean, I didn't plan on it, but I flew. I'm going to tell you the story because I flew over a road and there was a black snake, and I swooped down and I ate it. And the next morning I was staying in the longhouse, or like an extra house besides the main house. These are old houses, old farmhouses in the middle of nowhere. And I went in for coffee, and I asked Sudbear, I said, "What do you think this means?" And this is what they all say: "It's your vision. Let the mystery unfold. You don't want me. I can't tell you because it's your vision." So I still am not sure what that is, other than it could be this patriot movement, "Don't tread on me," or there's that line of folks, they call them, reptiles, and maybe that was it.
The end of that, or the end of that era, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, at some point, I would guess, now that I'm asking, it would be revealed. So he was a Shoshone medicine man, a really just nice guy. And when you're hanging out with them, they're just relaxed.
I worked on the Shoshone and Arapaho Indian Reservation in Wyoming.
Oh, that's totally cool. Yeah. That's totally cool. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would like to do that at some point. Yeah, I've visited some of them.
Mm-hmm. So I worked on the Navajo Indian Reservation too. When I did, I was working for the Women, Infant, and Children Supplemental Feeding Program. So I believe, as far as my originally coming to this plane, was to help the children. Yeah, I agree. Well, I got a story about that too. I caught. Remember how Wayfair? Yes.
I caught that almost 4 years ago. I was just window shopping late at night.
Mm-hmm.
I was broke, and at night I would just go on the internet and window shop, dreaming about my home that I would be getting. Nice home, and I found a throw pillow for $10,000. And I thought, this isn't made of gold. It freaked me out. I took a screenshot and got off. And meanwhile, I shared that with, I'm not going to say who. I think people know. And that's all I'm going to say. But way beyond, what's odd is that God leads me. And, I'm just sitting there window shopping on the internet. And boom, I find it. And then I had a couple instances where I would be out and I would see them in person shopping around children. And even though they were in carriages, how would I know this? And so, I mean, God just shows me things. I think once you just start to trust yourself, and we're all, you can't disengage the people that, here's the thing, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Exactly.
Right. So you're in it. You're like a fish in the water. You're not gonna get out of it. You don't have to be more spiritual. You just need to be you. And you need to honor you, and you need to honor your little child inside that says, I don't know, I want to get this crystal. And sometimes people have like, no, you shouldn't spend the money. They have the mean,
You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that.
Right. Tell that voice to go away. Because, I mean, that, look, our heart knows, and our heart is the strongest electromagnetic there is. Love is the strongest electromagnetic there is. Yes. So we have the power of love, which is the power of God, and that's in us, around us, all over us. And so I want people to, just remember how fantastic you are, and honor yourself because you're fantastic. Just start loving yourself and honoring yourself, and that world will open up for you, and you'll start to see. Jeffrey Prather, again, I'm going to say him. He's got the, if you can go and listen to a lot of his videos that are like the native church, and they relate to the Bible as well. So I would suggest go listening to that. And, and do honor yourself, and do listen to that still small voice. Now, I know a lot of us feel, at least I do, and I had, thank goodness for my stepfather, Lutheran minister, who told me I was evil. And so at 11, I went,
at 11 years old, he told you were evil?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
That Eve was
the indoctrination begins.
Yeah, gave me a persecution complex. He was always on my case. I think he actually wanted to do it to my mother, but I was the little one that he could just beat up on and
get away with it
verbally. But he put me on, I thank him. He put me on a path of, okay, you people I'm going to find out. I will find out. So here again, this is Theodore Nottingham. And they changed in here, I believe it's this one, they changed everything in the Bible. If it was taken over by King James, Constantine went in there. I do that study as well.
Yeah.
Of getting to
it changed everything. Yeah.
Getting to the heart.
For a purpose.
So they labeled her as some kind of a whore, but in reality, she was not. And they changed it in like 590. And I still think I don't totally agree with this, because I believe that she also carried, and she's understand that these are not like somebody we worship. They are archetypes for ourselves. And I think women need to embrace that feminine, because God is not one. Come on, is God just a man? It's not a man, it's an energy. So it's
and that came from beings that wanted men to be superior to women, and
well, when
it's a big ego thing.
Yeah, well, it's a corruption of the reality, and the thing is that we're together. Men have attributes, we have attributes, and together we're
totally complementary.
Complementary is right, because they're good at things and we're good at things. Because I'm not going to put down men. I'm just saying, I think there are a lot of women that feel, sort of cut out of this whole religious thing when everybody's saying,
exactly.
Hello. I think women have some contributions here, And so
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, and some of the religions are worse than others in terms of the subjugation of women, like they have nothing to offer other than reproductive abilities and so on.
Yeah.
But we actually are the, creators of life. So that's a real interesting philosophy. But we don't want to get too far into that. But to make a long story short, is women have been handed a second-rate classification, citizenship, however you want to portray it, and it's totally incorrect.
Yeah. Well, they changed the Bible. It's just like everything else. It's like they twisted everything.
Inverted everything. Yes.
Inverted everything. We have, this is an elegant universe. This is so incredible. And the thing is, when all this filth and this dark stuff gets off, everybody is going to have such a great time knowing themselves, exploring themselves. I mean, I have incredible things happen. Little tree frog is, chirping outside my window when I'm reading Q posts. What's up with that? And that frog stuff, what's up? And, just beautiful little synchronicities and just, we're going to have wonderful lives, and they're going to be so fulfilled and so full. And
is this part of the best is yet to come?
Because it's kind of almost like nirvana, because we have many levels. We don't just stop in, and I'm not saying we're going to be fully enlightened and like float off the planet, but
okay.
But we have, we feel this lightness, we feel this joy, we feel this, we learn more. We look at these plants and go, wow, it's just perfect. The golden mean. I mean, everything is just made so beautifully and perfectly. All the plants that were here, the animals, it's just, it's just heaven on earth. And then I another experience is I was studying, I was reading Rumi, and I was studying and going to the dances with the Sufis. And this was in Atlanta. And then I had, I'd call myself a mystic dreamer. I had a situation where I was invited to climb up Mount Meru, the magnetic mountain in the center of flat Earth, where the North Star is directly above. And you can see these things portrayed in Yggdrasil and the different flat Earth, and every culture has the same. The Buddhists have the
so
same.
Amazing that you're bringing that up, because I got this interview tomorrow. So keep going. It's fascinating. Talk about synchronicities.
That's perfect timing, or Holy Spirit, or Creator, or whatever you want to call it. Because and there's photography that proves it. Now, so there's the Mount Meru, and people can look more into that.
How do you spell that? Mount Meru.
MTMERU, and that's the magnetic pole in the center of the flat Earth. And then the North Star is above that, and then all the stars circle that. And with the slowed down photography, you could see the stars make a ring around that magnetic magnetic mountain, and up above that are the higher planes. So we're all going that way. We're all following that. And
and you're saying the stars are a frequency.
Stars are frequencies,
and the planets are a frequency.
They're called wandering stars, and they hold frequencies, and depending on where they are. And mariners found that the sun is only like 30 miles wide, and it's not a billion gajillion
99 million miles away or some ridiculous amount. I mean, some of the things that they've said are just so ridiculous. It's beyond. And the funny part of it is because, the people who immediately discount this have not really sat and taken into consideration the things that they've been told and the logical nature of it. It just, oh, wait a minute, we're spinning that fast. How can we spin that fast and not be flying off the planet? Things like that.
I mean, there's no common sense there.
Yeah,
there's just no common sense. So there's frequencies of water, and it says in the Bible.
Dr. Emoto did wonderful.
Oh yeah. And I write on my water bottles, love, healing.
I do too. I do the same thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, all this and just this is just amazing,
And you know
This-
what, Cheryl, one of the things I always remind people of too, we're 80% water. So if we're
Yeah,
talking negative to ourselves, that
exactly.
water is remembering that. So it's
That's
so
right.
important what you say to you. You have to love yourself. That's why it's so important to love yourself. And I'm not talking about being, you know, uh, conceited or, maybe that's just something that people, tried to throw in there so we wouldn't love ourselves. I don't know. But you want these kind of beautiful crystals to be forming inside of you because of the thoughts that you're having about loving yourself rather than hating yourself.
Exactly, exactly. And then we get more and more. And as long as we have good intent, we get more. God gives us with more superpowers, supernatural powers. I would tell you, when my grandfather died, my home filled with the scent of jasmine. So much so, my grandmother and mom came over, and I was looking in their purses going, did you spill some perfume? Like, do you have perfume on? And they're like, no. And I'm looking in their purses to make sure. And no, it wasn't that. And it just was constant. And then I went to the hospital. It was where he was. Had been at work, and the elevator was full of jasmine. And then his room was full of
It was
jasmine.
like it was following you around.
It was, how does that happen? I don't know, but I can tell you something else. I've had that happen with different people that have passed on, and then also that have sent me messages. I get an aroma. And I just had that happen when I was introduced to Lanacera longevity. Not to go into an ad for that, but I got the aroma of fresh, clean soap and fresh sage. And I'm just sitting here. I don't have any sage or soap near me. And I got the chills. I knew this was it for me. This was finally an answer to my prayers in terms of helping my son and myself and other people. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time because I've been fascinated myself.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
going, wow.
that's one of the gifts that we get, that people will. That's why why do the essential oils work? Why do the Bach flower remedies work?
Exactly.
I mean, and they're frequencies. And in fact, there's a book called.
That's the only thing that makes any sense for homeopathic medicine as well.
Exactly right.
Frequency.
And why? And they had the Culpeper's. I actually want to buy another copy. I've got one in storage, but Culpeper's herbal dictionary, and it was written in like 1550 or something, and it tells you what herbs and things are aligned to what planets, and what it does for you biologically and spiritually. And by the way, everything happens in the spiritual realm, the emotional realm. So as it happens in the spiritual realm, and then it manifests into physical. So we are creators of our world. So the more we stay, I mean, I'm not saying we don't look at the dark and we don't call it out. We don't say, go away, be gone, but try to stay in that space where you love yourself, and we're ascending, we're getting, heaven and earth is coming together. And that's why the Sufis twirl. They put one finger to heaven and the other towards the earth, and as they spin, they're pulling heaven and earth together. And so
Fascinating.
if I've had these experiences and then the actual people showed up, that's what's amazing. And I do have witnesses. If anybody wanted to call me to task, well, they saw Rolling Thunder came into my cafe all the way from Nevada. How did that happen? How did I call? And you could call on help. You can call on help from the realms, from good people, specify that. And then most people can usually tell what, help me, good angels, or I just yelled out, if there's anybody sane on this planet, I demand you show yourself now. I was like fed up, single mother.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing what could, and so forget this NASA bunk. You can travel. In fact, I've gone down a corn plant And I just happened to be honoring the corn plant with a friend of mine's child. We were preparing his show and tell thing. So we were sitting in the cornfield, and him and I, and we were trying to pull out this corn stalk. They had already harvested him, and it was like dried clay. And I said, Chris, you're going to have to do a picture and just talk about it. We're not going to get this corn stalk out. And I think it was fall. And so he did that. And then that night I went down a corn plant, and I was concerned with water. And I met a native maiden who showed me a river of like rainbow crystally light. And she said, don't worry. I was worried about the water on the planet. She said, it's never ending. It's unending. So I don't even think, you don't need a physical Stargate. We are Stargates. It depends on what your intent is. I mean, and I'm not saying it's fun and games like, oh, I think I'll go, I think I'll just go through a Stargate tonight. No, it doesn't happen like that. You have to have a need for it. You have to have a reason. And then usually it's for your healing or whatever. But when you start getting these powers and your good intent, you do good, you do the right thing, which most people do. Most everybody does, except for those others. And
humans have had that used against them in a lot of ways, I think.
They have, with their innocence, but in some ways we're protected as well, and just know that. But
Yes.
When I think that we haven't completely, not everybody has gotten, and I'm, they're unraveling for me slowly. And I'm not, I'm like, if you met me on the street, you just think I'm Mrs. Normal. Because I this is just, I'm talking about my spiritual life, which, I just want everybody to know that a lot of things are amazing that are going to be happening to everybody. But I think when the dark is gone, because I did go down and I saw some of that horrific stuff, and I woke up completely drenched in sweat, and I had to ask to, I had to get out of that. Like, I saw that horrifying stuff underground. I also saw the Q baby being born. I saw this blonde baby, and it was like the best feeling ever. And I don't know if that was, Trump or what, but when they posted the Q baby, I was like, wow.
Oh, what? I didn't see that.
Well, what's so odd is it connected, coincidences. I mean, I just thought, wow, that's just really weird. But yeah, so mostly, yeah, people need to just love themselves. Don't even question their own, don't question their intuition. Meditate if they don't know, if they don't know what to do, just think about it, pray, meditation, same thing. Greg Braden has great talks. I'd send people to Greg Braden. I mean, there's proof.
Yeah, he's going to be, I don't know if he was already here, but he was going to be in Sedona. And unfortunately, his conferences and so on are so expensive. I can't even afford to go to one. That is disappointing at times.
Yeah. Well, he is online. He's got on YouTube, and, it is fun to go to real things with real people. It's real energetic. Powwows are fun. You get to.
Oh yes, I've been to powwows. Yeah.
Powwows.
I met an ex-husband there. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So, and you get healing through those drums. I mean, that's true too.
Definitely. As a matter of fact, now that you brought that up, I went to a sound therapist here who did the drumming, and she also had the tuning forks, but the drumming seemed to be the most effective. That's when I had the vision of the tiger and a woman, and just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden I see this vision of a tiger, and I even have a statue of a white tiger, because this has happened a couple of times in my life during meditation.
Yeah, that's a power animal for you. And yeah, I totally agree. Even drumming circles are great in healing. Mm-hmm. And so any of that live music. And then there's a radio station that plays 432 hertz songs.
Yes.
Because they changed our music to 440, which is discordant. So all of this is helping. Everything. We're all kind of collectively doing our things, talking, and all that business. And I mean, it's exciting. And here we go. We're going to move on whether they like it or not. They're going to
Exactly. It's
go.
happening. And I just encourage people to realize that, most of the propaganda out there isn't in their best interests.
No, stay away from all that transgeneticist. And then I wouldn't even follow any particular, doctrine, that somebody's teaching, that do this or do that. I would just sample it, test it, not like eating something. I'm talking about when somebody says something, I'm just like, okay, if it piques my curiosity, I'm like, I'll sit with that and think about it. And then let that marinate and then see if it holds true. And it's just like the experiences I had. And then they related back to Bible verses or another religion. And I consider all of them like food. It was Mexican, Chinese, but it's all food. It all feeds us. It just depends on what you're inclined to.
Like that, take what resonates and leave the rest behind.
Exactly. Right. So, yeah, so we're headed there and just to let, younger people know that, don't make somebody else your
Guru.
Don't think that you don't have to go to them for any answers. You could kind of question them, but don't make people your guru. Don't make them your master teacher or any of that. Your direct connection with spirit is your teacher and will guide you.
Do you have any advice that you could give people? And I'm not from a guru standpoint, but I think a lot of people are confused when you say to them to go within. And I've said this before in other shows, and sometimes what someone will say will resonate more so than what someone else might say. So maybe you have something that you could say that would help people to go within themselves and know what that really means, or how do you achieve that? It's coming from the heart center. But do you have anything? How would you describe that? Or
yeah, well, you know what? I don't particularly like to sit still and meditate. I don't like it at all. But you know what does work for me? I like to sweep. I like to sweep the house and clean, and I just, it's usually quiet, and I get the info. It comes to me. Why do Buddhist monks have Zen rock gardens that they rake? Because when you're doing a simple task, right? They're raking. You've seen them, right? So they're raking those gravel yards at the monastery. That's like a simple task, sweeping. And to me, that's just sort of like, just let your mind go, do the simple task. And it always comes to me. It may not come that day, but eventually, if you ask, you always get answered. And you can discern, your logical mind knows what is real and what is not real. And it's, that's what I do, or I sleep on it. I ask, and then I sleep, and I ask to be shown in a dream or things like that. So that's a way to try.
That's an interesting perspective. And when you said that, one of the things that came to mind to me was sometimes, this is another thing, but slow jogging or just walking without, your mind it kind of clears your mind so that mind chatter doesn't, and for some people, it might be more difficult to get rid of that mind chatter when you're just sitting there versus when you're like sweeping or walking or doing some simple task, like you said.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that mind chatter, that monkey mind. And that's about quieting down. And the TV is like full of that. Ugh, it's just bombarding people. And then, get off the phone and just, take a walk. You can take your phone with you, but don't be talking on it. Just try to clear out all that clutter that's been jammed in there, so you can hear that still small voice that's in you and it's the voice of sanity and reason in your heart. And, be gentle with yourself. Take a little time with that. So yeah, that's fantastic.
It's funny what that just reminded me of when you said that is we're old enough to know that there was a time when we didn't have a cell phone with us all the time.
Right.
I mean, you used to drive someplace and you didn't have a cell phone you'd have to use a map or whatever, or you wouldn't have any phone with you at all. Now we feel like we can't leave the house without having that phone with us. We just might need it for something. And think about that. We never used to have that.
I know. And it's a nice crutch. I mean, I'm saying, I have.
That's a good way of putting it. It is a crutch.
I do have telepathy, but it's a heck of a lot easier. I mean, I'll think of a friend and they'll call me, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of have. I know everybody's been through that, so we do sort of have telepathy, which is another power I have. So I mean, not that I want to hear everybody's thoughts when I go. I've had to learn to deal with it, and then I actually see pictures. I see kind of like little films of people's lives, and then I'll meet somebody the next day and they'll just tell me the whole shebang. And that happened a lot when I had my cafe. And so I'd serve up a carrot juice or a shake with bee pollen and all that stuff in it. And they tell me their whole life story. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, because I saw that last night. So they feel safe sharing with me because they know I already know. So, but that it's kind of like you got to get used to that, because to be able to separate what's their life and not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get sick or something. And no, that's not my feelings. Those were their feelings. So that's an issue that I've had to deal with, becoming more of a sensitive or a shamanette or a yogini or whatever.
Shamanette. That's cute.
That's a woman shaman, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
I like that. Okay. Well, do you consider yourself a shamanette? Yeah.
I am, and sometimes, I'm called. I think we women basically are caretakers of the tribe.
I agree.
That's what women do. We care for the tribe, and
nurturing. Yeah.
And each of us have our own way of doing it, and I think that probably most women are very intuitive and
yes.
Are just all about caring. That's what we do. So I don't want to see us pushed out of the whole religious thing. I don't want to see us. I mean, I would like to see us be respected.
Why can't it be equal? Equal but different. Equal but different. Not trying to be the same, because I've seen that happen with women too. You don't have to be a man to be equal.
No, and I mean, we work so well together.
It's a complementary thing.
It's complementary. And what they might not see because they're focused on something else, we might see. And that's actually how the natives used to have their meetings, and they'd have the women and the men, and they would meet and they'd all discuss, and some would maybe have the vision, they'd ask for it, and then they would discuss what the tribe should do next and things like that. But I don't even think, like I say, it's not a hierarchy, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm a shaman and I'm better than you. No, I mean, it's actually not really a fun thing. It's been difficult because, some weird stuff. It's like people are going to come after me if I tell all this stuff, but everybody.
I think that time is going away to some extent.
I
really do, because I think now we're more protected than we ever have been, and many of the very dark ones are being eliminated from the.
And as our earth gets cleaner, I think people will be able to open up more to their sensitive natures and to this more of an enlightened state of being. I don't know what to name it. Like you're more sensitive, you're more open to seeing how things work and feeling
more of those special supernatural abilities that are innate are going to start to manifest.
Exactly. They're going to blossom in everybody, because right now, I think because of all the dark, it's probably keep, protecting everybody, because, going and seeing that horrific crap, and you know what we're talking about, is not for the faint of heart. But but thank God, God bless the military and everybody working towards getting this all cleaned up, and everybody praying for a beautiful, beautiful world that we should all be enjoying and experiencing and loving.
Never losing hope. Never thinking that it's been defeated or things aren't going to. The best is yet to come. I keep saying that, and I know that Trump said that too, but that's what we have to focus on.
Yeah. And even the little things daily, just notice the little, coincidences and the little cute things that happen. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, I need a particular kind of a thingy, and I'll be out and I'll just go into the store, and there it is. And it's some weird thing. It would be really hard to find. It was like, look what God gave me, this little thing. And it was within my price range, And so, all those beautiful things will happen for him. I promise you. So,
and I tell you what, my little puppy dog, I call her a fur angel, and she brings me joy every single day.
Oh, yeah. Dogs are great. I love mine. She's up here. She's up here napping. Come here, Yoda. Are you a sleepy girl? You want to make an appearance? My little. She makes everybody so happy. She was the size of a hamster when I got her.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's a little one. She's very little.
She's 5 pounds. She fits in my purse.
Yeah. Well, mine's twice that weight, but she's just little too. But she's asleep over there on the couch.
My needs to go for a while. Well, what do you think, Gail?
Well, I think we've probably should come to a close here for this particular show. Do you have anything in particular you'd like to add or have people take away? And I hope you'll provide me with the links, because I think you showed some good things that people might want to look at.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I will. I'll give you the links. And, I just want people to just love and appreciate themselves, know how fantastic they are, and be open for all the beautiful synchronicities and the wonderful things, and be grateful for the beautiful things that come into their life. And when they start noticing, it's just going to get better and better. And just, I don't know what else to say. Love yourself. Know you got it all. It's really like you had it all. You have it all. It can't be taken away from you, and do not go and get a vaccine.
And love.
I don't think.
Oh, no, I'm not going to put it on YouTube. No, I think we just said it one time. Let me rephrase that.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, that should be fine. I don't think it's a problem. Hopefully not. It would be ridiculous if it is. And all that's going to go away here very soon. I think it's not going to continue in this manner. And again, I would say the same thing. Love yourself. Be grateful for what you do have, and enjoy the little things in life.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's the journey, and enjoying the journey, and it'll just get better and better. And notice
as you do that, it just gets better, and staying positive and knowing that there's a reason for everything.
Yeah. Thank you, Gail. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. This was a fun talk, and I hope people enjoy it. Thank you.
People's lives, or helps them a little bit.
I hope so. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll, I think I have to have, no, I don't. Where do I stop this? Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking for the bottom, because I was looking at the bottom of your screen that you're sharing. I'm going, where's that now? I got it though. So everything's fine. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.